Okay, what I'm about to show you is something I never expected, and I need to give credit where it's due. During the Boston Bruins and the Buffalo Sabres playoff game, the microphone died right when the singer was starting the Canadian anthem. And these days, when you're hearing like 51st state nonsense coming from south of the border, not just in Florida, but all over the United States, I didn't expect the crowd to do what they did. On top of that, it is reported that more US citizens are traveling north for their vacations. And in some regions, there's actually more traffic going north than south. So we're going to talk about all this in this video, and I want to get started right away because I got a lot to talk about. We'll get started first with the Buffalo Sabres playoff game, and the fans helping out with the Canadian anthem.
Oh, Canada, our home and native, patriot love, and with glowing we see such a strong and from far and wide, okay, and on guard, keep up, glorious.
You know, I have to say I do have a newfound respect for the Buffalo Sabres fans. It's something that they didn't have to do, and I'm sure there's some fans in the stands that didn't want to do it or refused to sing it. But there were enough of them to actually keep the Canadian anthem going. Now, one thing I didn't know, and I just learned from watching this video, is that even if there isn't a Canadian team playing, they still sing the Canadian anthem. Now, reading the comments in the video, it looks like Buffalo has been doing this for years, or even decades. And I'm not gonna lie, I am actually surprised that many US citizens know the words to our Canadian anthem. Now, I did read some comments from the various places that have this video up, and they said that the Buffalo Sabres do have a lot of Canadian fans that do own season tickets. Sure, that might be a factor as well. But I really don't think it's all Canadians in the stands. I mean, let's listen to it again. So it's clear to me that a lot of the Buffalo Sabres fans knew what they needed to do when the mic died. Except for this guy. He looks a little bit disgruntled that they're actually singing. I don't know, I'm just judging right now. And I apologize if that's not the case. But Canadians have always done this in the past. In this first video I'm going to show you, it happened in Toronto 11 years ago. And it also happened again 8 years ago in Edmonton, though I can't show this one because I'll get a copyright strike. Singing the US anthem was always something I did at Canucks games. I know it off by heart, just like I know the Canadian anthem. So I'm not gonna lie, but I am surprised that many fans in Buffalo know the words to our Canadian anthem. But then again, Buffalo is literally on the border with Canada. And for my international viewers, who might not be aware of the area, this is how close Buffalo is to Canada, like literally on the border. So there's definitely gonna be some Canadian influence at the game. Now, would this be the same if the game was in Florida, or Dallas, or North Carolina? It's hard to say, really. Because I think Buffalo, being so close to the border, probably knows our Canadian anthem more than other cities. Because I imagine the average US citizen is going to be like this.
I love this song. I'm so impressed that they know it. That's a very sweet thing.
I was going to say, thank you, Canada.
Thank you, Canada. Because after Oh Canada, I got nothing. I wouldn't know what to do. I'm so impressed that they know the words.
You learn those lyrics.
Yes, I'm going to work on that, Charlie Rose.
Yeah, I know the words. I knew the words in elementary school, long before I started attending hockey games. I guess it just came naturally being your next door neighbor. But I do want to give a shout out to those who were at the game and help to sing our Canadian national anthem. I'm hesitant to say the city of Buffalo, because these days we know that in every city in the United States, there are those that do love Canada, but there are also those that do hate Canada and want us to be their 51st state. So for everybody at the game that sung the Canadian anthem, I thank you. Now moving on, I want to talk about an article and it's titled, Canada's US Travel Boycott and Continued American Visits, Praised for Boosting Canadian Economy. Now, I'm only going to read a few sections of this because that hockey segment I did earlier, it was only supposed to be a few minutes, but it lasted a lot longer than I thought. But I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to read it on your own. But I'll read out certain portions for those of you who are cooking or in the shower or visually impaired. The first section is titled, Canadian tourism is poised for a banner year amid US travel boycott. Fueled by a solid mix of domestic travel and steady cross-border visits by Americans, Canadians are projected to bring meaningful revenue streams to Canada. Because Canadians choose to travel domestically, the reshored spending is projected to add $1.5 billion in 2025 and $4.4 billion between 2025 and 2027, which positions Canada's tourism sector for what they call a banner year. Long story short, I think as long as the orange guy's in the office, Canada's tourism industry is going to improve. And in times like these, I think we have to welcome anybody that actually does want to come to Canada. The next section, the driving force of Destination Canada's Canadian Tourism Outlook 2026 to 2035. Canadians are increasingly choosing to travel at home. The US remains Canada's tourism cornerstone and largest international market. Overseas markets are the sector's export acceleration engine. Destination Canada forecasts a 5.3% growth annually as American visits to the country continue to increase in both land and air travel. The overseas markets are also expected to grow by 9.8% annually through 2035, giving Canada an immediate lift in the travel and tourism industry. Now, this is just my opinion, but basically I think since everything happened, since the shit hit the fan in 2025 or early 2025, Canada really wasn't on the radar for a lot of international travelers. I mean, we would get some, but it wasn't really like the destination, the go-to destination. If anyone was going to go to North America, it would most likely be the United States. But I've even had people email me saying that they used to be regulars to the United States, but especially with everything happening now, they want to come to Canada instead. And a few of them actually said that the backgrounds that I post from the community is actually helping people to determine where they want to go. Now, these next two sections actually talk about US citizens coming to Canada and their contribution. First section is titled, American visits to Canada continue to spike despite Canadian boycott. Amid Canadian boycott of the United States, the tides are turning for Canada's economy, as Americans show increased visits to the country in 2026, according to the latest report by Statistics Canada. Released on April 13th, the data reveals that the US resident trips to Canada in March 2026 increased by 4%, which is the second consecutive increase after 12 months of year-over-year declines. Land travel also increased by 4.3%, while air travel spiked 3.1%. Everything we're seeing right now, I don't think you can deny that we're going to have a good summer. And I know we're going to see Canadians this summer saying, oh, I can't find parking, or there's too many people, or the lines are too long. It's like, shut the fuck up. The world is going through a crisis right now because of this guy. Everything is getting more expensive. Flights are getting more expensive. And people are still choosing to come to Canada. And you're worried about your freaking parking spot. I did a video on this last year, and the report that I showed had some people that were just wanting to complain about complaining. I don't know, I see it from a different perspective. I mean, people want to come to Canada to support our economy. I'll be happy to walk a little bit farther if I need to. The next section is titled, Latest US Resident Trips to Canada by Statistics Canada, March 2024 to 2026. The data above shows an uptick in American visits to Canada as of March 2026, despite 2025's decrease from 2024. This is an unexpected tourism mark in Canada for the second month in a row. In February 2026, the data released by Statistics Canada on April 23rd also show a 5.9% increase in American trips to Canada from the same month in 2025, while car arrivals were up 6.8% and 4.8% year-over-year increase in air travel. However, Canadian return trips from the US show a downward trend between 2024 and 2026, with only 1.9 million visits as of February this year, compared to 2024's 2.6 million and 2025's 2.2 million. So long story short, more US citizens coming to Canada and less Canadians going south. I was totally wrong when I predicted that 2026 would bottom out when it comes to Canadians going to the United States. And I'm totally happy to see February numbers decrease from last year. But where are Canadians actually going now? This next section actually tells us a little bit. Now this section is titled, Canadian trips overseas spike for 3 consecutive months. As Canadians continue to forego traveling to the United States, data shows that they're continuing to pack their vacation bags, but to overseas destinations including Europe, Asia, the Caribbean, according to Anita Emilio, General Manager of Flight Center Canada. We're down 40% year over year travel to the US. More Canadians are now choosing to travel to Europe or down south, Emilio said. Now, Anita said that they're down 40% year over year, which I'm assuming because this article was released like 3 days ago, they're talking about like 2025 and 2026. So to be down 40% compared to last year, when the decline already started last year, I say that's a huge win. Toronto-based travel company G Adventures also noticed the same shifting trend in Canadian travel. Jenna English said that the bookings to the US may have decreased, but it doesn't mean Canadians are traveling less. It just means they're choosing different destinations. Now, where are these destinations? Let me show you on the next screenshot. Emilio also explained that the Canadian dollar is stretched to these destinations, giving them good value in travel experiences, especially with longer stays. Now let me read out the countries that they've listed. Turks and Caicos, St. Lucia, Japan, Colombia, Switzerland, Barbados, Vietnam, Curacao, Germany, and Australia. In March 2026, Canadian travel to overseas countries also showed an upward trend from their third consecutive month, with a 4.9% increase from the same month in 2025. The data from the Statistics Canada revealed that overseas trips by air accounted for 1.5 million, which exceeds the 1.4 million arrivals from the US by car. Now, all of this sounds great. I mean, we're making alternative plans. We're not going to the United States and we're going to other countries. But I think these indicators are lagging because what's happening right now is that flight prices and fuel prices are going up. And this might actually start to slow down the tourism industry. That's just my opinion. Because we are starting to see more headlines like this of airlines canceling flights. And the problem I'm seeing right now online is that people are booking flights for, say, the summer. And they might be booking not just a flight, but they'll book the hotel and a cruise or something else. And if your flight is canceled, you might be covered by like your travel insurance or what's it called, credit card insurance. But it's a big question mark on whether you get your money back for the hotel and cruise or any events that you're doing at your destination. So yeah, it's not all blue skies and like flowers when it comes to like the travel industry right now. And I guess my only recommendation is that if you are going to be going on vacation, you got to be a lot more observant in terms of your flights and whether they get canceled or not. So to close off this video, I would like to thank Sirach from our Discord server for posting this photo of the Mactaquac Dam, north of Fredericton in New Brunswick. I also want to thank you for helping me to visually pronounce it, because I am the king of butchering names, even in my own country. So thanks again, Sirach, for posting this in the Discord server. Alright, I think I need to get going. You can hear the co-host. She's going a little bit crazy right now. Give me 2 minutes. Give me 2 minutes. I'm closing. If you found any value in anything I said today, or you want to hear more from a Canadian and international perspective, without the US media bias, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button below. That way you'll be notified on my future videos. And if you want to see more of my videos, check out the ones that are going to show up on your screen shortly. Thanks everyone. I'll catch you in the next one.